Hello all, this is your Professor Ian. This is a short video where I'm going to talk about the response papers, specifically response paper number 1, but this has got some good info for all the response papers. So let's just talk about the response papers. There are 3 of them this semester. They're worth a lot of your grade, 60% altogether. And the reason for that is that they are doing a couple really big important things. So first of all, they are helping you to practice your analytical skills and use the terminology we've been learning about. So for this first response paper, you'll read a story on your own or with some of your peers, but not one that we discuss in class, one of the ones I've chosen for an in-class discussion. And then you'll use some of those terms, talk about plot or setting or some of those aspects of short fiction we've been discussing together as a group to help you analyze that specific story. So there's that, but there's also the other part of the response papers is developing strategies to write literary analysis papers. There are specific kinds of papers. You can, of course, transfer the skills to other kinds of writing, but we tend to write in very specific ways when we're writing literary analysis papers. So a big part of these response papers is, learning good strategies, good formulae for writing literary style papers for your English classes or whatnot. Or, you can use it for any kind of textual analysis, but specifically, for us, of course, literary analysis. So anyways, enough of that. Let's take a look. Here I am on the modules page on our course, of course, the most important page. I have an entire module devoted to the response papers. Right now, you can only access number 1. This is to help you from getting bogged down and getting too far ahead. So there's the instructions. There's also a couple resources, a few resources that are super important. One on quotation marks, one on some rules about writing about literature, and one on something called dropped quotes. So embedding quotes properly in your writing. You'll find information about how to do that, and then a practice quiz. The practice quiz is worth no points. It's just for you to practice those skills. But these are things I'm going to be looking for in the instructions. So let's take a look at those instructions. Open that up. Here we go. Here's the instructions for the first paper. So each response paper will be at least 3 pages. So I'm thinking 3 to 4 pages. You don't need to go any longer than that. They're meant to be short responses. For the first one, it's on short fiction. So you'll choose one of these stories. They're not stories that we've discussed in class. One of them is very short. Strays is very short. Some of them are longer. Thoughts and Prayers and Standard Loneliness Package are science fiction stories. Florencia is a kind of coming-of-age story. It's got some adult details in it, so be warned about that. I guess Thoughts and Prayers has some disturbing imagery in it. Nothing too graphic, but kind of disturbing. Anyways, you'll choose one of these stories. If you really want to work on a story of your own, you can come and talk to me. It has to be a recent story. It can't be some classic chestnut. It has to be a very recent story just to help you practice these skills. So I've also uploaded all of these to Perusal so you can discuss them with your peers and develop ideas together. That's totally fine. And I have some ideas how you might approach each story, right? Thoughts and Prayers uses point of view very interestingly, as does Strays. Strays, the title also gives you a hint of the tone of the story. Anyways, you can look through those. And then for the paper itself, the structure I've outlined. So you have to, it's a paper, so you want to have an intro paragraph, you want to have a concluding paragraph, and then body paragraphs. Your introduction should be, very short. As I note here, what did I say? 4 to 6 sentences. Don't spend too long developing a big hook or big idea at the beginning. Just, a little bit of a bring your reader in kind of couple sentences, and then get right to, name the story and the author and get right to your thesis. What are you going to argue? It's only a 3 to 4 page paper, so you don't have a page and a half to write an introduction and really get into that. For your body paragraphs, and I note here 3 minimum, you want to use the Triax structure. And you might be thinking, what is a Triax structure? That is going to be covered here. There'll be information on the Triax structure. Or where did I put that? Oh, I guess I have to put that right here. So there will be information on the Triax structure. It's a very specific kind of structure for your paper. It'll be listed here. I guess I forgot to upload it, so I'll upload that right away. And what it Triax stands for, where did I have I had a graphic? Here we go. Triax is an acronym. It stands for topic, refinement, illustration. Oh, they misspelled illustration. See, I just found something online and it's misspelled. It should be illustration, analysis, and conclusion. This is a structure. I didn't make this up. As you can see, there's tons of resources online about this, but it's a really handy way to structure each of your paragraphs in a literary analysis paper. You start with a topic sentence, you refine that, break it down a little bit, then you have your quote, your textual evidence, you do some analysis, and then you conclude. So this allows you to structure each paragraph in your paper like a kind of mini essay, right? With your topic sentence, your thesis, which would be kind of your refinement, your textual evidence, your analysis, and then your conclusion, right? So each of your paragraphs should go through this structure. That means each of your paragraphs should be, at least 5 sentences long. It could be longer, but you're going to want to have at least a sentence per item in the Triax acronym. You could have 2 sentences doing analysis. That's probably where you're going to want to spend the most time, right? Doing analysis. 2, 3 sentences even, right? Or a couple sentences in refinement, really get into your argument. But that's the structure I want you to follow. Oh, I have too many tabs open. The structure you should follow for every body paragraph. And then your conclusion. Again, it shouldn't be super long, 4 to 5 sentences I suggest here. You just want to summarize your thesis, reword your thesis in different words, summarize your main points, and leave your reader with some kind of, interesting idea about the story. So one note I want to make, though, is, I've 1 and then 3 and then 1. So 5 paragraphs is what I'm suggesting would be, the minimum length. But I don't want you to write a 5-paragraph essay, a hamburger essay, where you just list 3 things, such as, what's my example here? In Hamlet, the character of Yorick, in Hamlet, the theme of death is representing the characters of Ophelia, Hamlet, and Yorick. That's a 3-paragraph or 5-paragraph essay where you're just listing how the theme of death is represented. There's no real argument there. You're just saying it's representing these characters, right? My example of a better thesis, in Hamlet, the character of Yorick presents a very different vision of death that vacillates between tragic and the jocular, and this liminal role undermines the weight of Hamlet's decision while at the same time underscoring the essentially tragicomic position of humankind in Shakespeare's plays, right? So there's an actual argument there. It's a lot more complicated. I'm not just listing things. I'm going to get into what Yorick means in that story or in that play and make an argument about that. So please do avoid the hamburger essay. Do focus on an argument. And one important way to do that is to not try to cover too much. Don't pick a story and then try to cover setting, character, and point of view. If you do that, you're going to write a 5-paragraph essay. You're going to write a hamburger essay. So just choose one of those. Just focus on like point of view or setting or a character or plot, the way the epiphany is set up or something like that. Just focus on one. Because, as I note here, you should follow what I call the 10-to-1 rule. This means multiple examples for every argument you're making instead of a lot of arguments, right? Focus on fewer arguments with more evidence. That's the key to college and university writing in general. Then there's some things to just keep in mind as you're writing. And that's about it. You can't use any outside sources, so no schmoop.com, no Wikipedia. Just you in the story, please. If you use any outside sources, that will result in a grade of 0. So please, this is, the whole point of this is for you to practice analytical skills. If you're feeling shaky about that, that's fine. This is what we're here to learn how to do. If you take a look at right here at the bottom of week 1, module 1.2, this is where you'll turn in your response paper. All right, this is where you'll submit it online. I've included the rubric that I'm going to be using, and so let me just move this guy. I'll just put him in the middle. The rubric, you can see that I have 5 categories, each worth 4 points for a total of 20. So I'll be looking for your use of material from short story. So this is, avoiding dropped quotes, embedding your quotes correctly in your writing, the quality of your introduction and thesis, so having a strong thesis, quality of the structure, do you move through your arguments logically, do you use the Triax structure perfectly or at least well in your writing, and then the quality of writing, MLA formatting, okay, and then the quality of arguments. So this first paper I've really weighted the structure and some of the technical stuff a lot, just to encourage you to practice those skills that we're trying to cover and develop for this first paper. So, please do pay attention to the rubric. This is exactly what I'll be using to mark it. So you should try to follow along and think to yourself, okay, am I doing this? Okay, am I doing this? Am I doing this? Am I doing this? Am I doing this? That's how you're going to, really knock it out of the park and develop those skills that we're trying to develop for these papers. Okay, that's about it for now. If you have any questions or concerns, you can email me. And otherwise, have a great week.